So I was softening you up now, because now comes the fun part. Sue said, when is she going to talk about money? When am I going to talk about money? I'm going to talk about money right now. Because I said I wanted to. I said, we have a specific challenge in front of us. I think we need to be specific. Stephanie will help you with some actual numbers. But 3 years ago, we took a chance as a congregation. Dave Fox and Larry Kirsten came up with a really cool plan to incentivize us to do more, to get to a point where we wanted to be. We were low on staff, we were low on money, we were low on membership. Not terminally low, but low. How do we grow? We need more stuff. We need particularly religious education. So there was a one-time fund that was raised to pay for 3 years of a new religious education director and a music coordinator and all these amazing things to make this place bigger and better like it is today. I look out here and I see how full we are on a day when we're talking about money. And that's awesome. This is so inspiring. So we've done it. The first part of the plan, the vision, the plan has come to fruition. We have the staff, right? We have the programs that are growing. We're revitalizing this place. This is so amazing. We're set up to do this for years to come if we can keep it going. And that's the second part of the plan that we haven't really talked about much. We have, but I'm talking about today. We need to keep it going. So that one-time gift, special purpose fundraiser, like we're really good at that. Come up with a purpose and people give a lot of money. But we have struggled to meet our budget every year. We always have challenges with our pledging. So we just don't get quite enough, but then we somehow make it work. So our annual sustainable level 3 years ago was not enough to pay for what we have now. And that 3-year gift, that 3-year thing runs out this year. So next year we have to raise our giving for this coming year to support all these cool things that we have going on right now, okay? We did the equivalent of buying something on layover, basically, with financing. So we just waited. Yeah, we can afford it. Let's do that thing. Okay, well, now's the time for the payments to start. We have to make regular payments. And I don't want to have to return this stuff. I want to keep it, okay? I think you all do too. So let's figure out what we can do, figure out what you can do to help maintain this amazing situation we are now in. Okay, and now it's going to get dark. So now we get into the equivalent of fire and brimstone for me at least, because when I was trying to figure out what to say today, I went back and read what I said last year at this time, and I feel compelled to say some of that again this year because things are dire outside of this place. This is a place for hope, not so hopeful outside of here. I was thinking about the UUs and why we have trouble raising the kind of money that other churches do, right? Churches get large contributions from people. And I say, to me, this comes down to something about spirituality and our version of it. A casualty of our avoidance of proclaiming anything about a higher power, however justified and necessary that constraint is to our movement, is that we lack the kind of common statement about higher purpose that some other churches have. This absence of a higher power to provide a higher purpose distinguishes us in a good way from the many big box churches, but I believe it's a massive disadvantage when giving time comes around. So if we're asked to consider giving for what we get from our donation in real time, in the real world, our annual request for support can trigger a cost-benefit analysis, like considering a gym membership, something like that. It can seem like we're being asked to estimate our contribution amount in terms of real-world benefits, a transaction. But the big box churches don't suffer this handicap. They offer eternal salvation, not just to the member, the giving unit, as we call it, but to all the others they can reach with the financially amplified power of their big church. And in addition to saving souls, their church also provides a fortress for the beliefs of the members and for their deity, a fortress that is needed, in their perspective, to withstand the eternal pressure and opposition from outside, whether from their neighbors, their government, or their supernatural opponents. Okay, these higher purposes, eternal salvation, a bastion for their beliefs, a bulwark against Satan, are why many people give 5% or even 10% of their income to these theistic churches. No amount is too much when you're in an eternal battle for the soul and the souls of the world, so they often give until it hurts. I have no idea what any of us earn individually or how much we contribute individually, but I know that we're not giving 5 and 10% of our income. And I'm not saying we have to. We could cover everything we do with a lot less than that if we all gave some minimum amount of our income. But I do think that one of the reasons that there's this big giving discrepancy between us and them is it can be easy for us to overlook the higher purpose of Unitarian Universalism. And the reason I think it's easy for me to overlook it is because we don't talk about it as often or in the same way as the theistic churches do. So we talk about what the UUFA offers us as individuals and to our local community and so on, but it can be difficult to discern, if you just walk in the door, that the UUFA serves a higher purpose. And even for those of us who assume it does, well, what is that higher purpose? I mean, maybe it's different every week, I don't know, but I think there is an actual higher purpose that I've talked about before. So what we are lacking is that that's what triggers big giving, and that political campaigns have figured this out as well. They scare people into a higher, desperate need, okay? So the first thing that we can do is promote a higher purpose that deserves every penny that you can spare, as opposed to just the dollars that are comfortable to give, and I'll lay out that higher purpose in a second one. A second thing that big churches and political campaigns have is an ideological enemy or enemies to help galvanize a sense of urgency in their congregants, a fervor to protect and promote their higher purpose. The third one's a theistic doctrine that both demands adherence and can be transferred to others. Well, we don't have that third one, thank God. But we actually do have the first two, and that's what makes this place essential. The higher purpose of the UFA for me is to serve as a repository for and a protector of and an amplifier of our shared values. And those values are certainly under attack by enemies. And they are certainly worth protecting and amplifying. Just like the big box churches, the UUFA is an institutional fortress for our values. Okay? And what is necessary to make an institution more robust and to increase its amplifying power? Financial resources, money. Please believe me when I say that values do not thrive if they exist only in individual heads. Without institutions to protect and promote them, individual values get squashed at the societal level by competing values that do have big, wealthy organizations to protect, promote, and amplify them. We not only need each other as individuals, we also need the UUFA as an institution to help our values persist in central Iowa and in the world. Without this place, both physical and virtual, and without a sustainable number of people engaged in it, our values not only will not thrive, they are likely to get squashed. We need this place, we need each other, and we need always to remember that we do indeed have a higher purpose, to protect and promote our shared values. And we need always to remember that our values are essential to a safe, inclusive, and thriving society. And we need always to remember that our values are under attack, unfortunately. That is why this place is essential, and that is why we should give more.